After over 30 years of failed attempts to rejuvenate the Predator franchise, we now have a Hulu exclusive film titled Prey. I was lucky enough to check out this thing a few weeks early, and I'm here to tell you all about it. So stick around. What's up everybody, and welcome to my review of Prey. This is a Hulu exclusive film in the Predator franchise. It is a period piece taking place back in the 1700s, and it follows a Comanche girl trying to prove her worthiness as a hunter to her tribe when the ultimate prey shows its face. Well, I mean, it's camouflaged face. I am a massive fan of the original Predator. It is one of my favorite movies from the 80s. I think that it is a brilliant mix of horror, action, and sci-fi. And although I have had fun with a couple of the sequels, including the original AVP, I've found that no follow-up to that original film has come anywhere close. And I was really excited whenever I saw this film announced, because it seemed to be going back to its roots, it seemed to be scaling down its budget, scaling down its scope, and going back to the very simplistic premise that the original film executed to excellence, which is just a predator and its prey. Now, whereas the original film, the prey were the biggest, most macho and glistening muscle-fueled dudes that you could find in the 80s, this film has the predator setting his sights on a group of people that have to hunt and kill in order to eat and survive every single day. Starting off with the positives for Prey, I love the fact that this movie takes the concept back to its roots. It goes back to the wilderness, it goes back to one predator and one central character, but of course other people that they are with that systematically get taken down by the predator. It keeps that initial theme of a predator and its prey, and it executes it in a way that is very classic and it is very in line with the way that the original film does, but it's not a rehash. It's not the same exact scenario. It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these other 80s actors that are in the peak physical condition carrying these gigantic machine guns and grenades and everything else. It is a group of people that have spears and bows and the knowledge of the wilderness that's going against a predator who is also a little bit scaled back from what we typically see as far as the technology that it uses. And that was really cool, and it made a lot of sense to me that we're going 300 plus years into the past, so if humans were indigenous at one point, it didn't have the technology of, at the time, the 80s, or even movies that have come out recently like The Predator, then it makes sense that the predators themselves would probably be a little bit more scaled back and not as technologically advanced as they were in the previous sequels as well. So you get a predator here that's much more into hand-to-hand combat and arrows and blades, and not so much plasma casters and gigantic nuclear bombs and things of that nature that were certainly exciting, certainly things that we expect with the Predator, but I like the way that it's a little bit more ground level in this one. And that ground level approach leads to some of the most exciting and visceral combat that we have seen in any of the Predator films. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat with the Predator taking on animals and the Predator taking on the human characters, and it's shot and choreographed very well. It's very visceral and bloody, and it was the most exciting part of the movie for me, for sure. As somebody that loves the character of the Predator and loves the look and the design and the lore of the Predator, seeing him kick ass in a way that I have not seen at all in this franchise before was very cool. And it actually increased the tension a lot during the hunting scenes and the fighting scenes, because if you had the Predator from 1987 with the plasma casters and everything taking on this Comanche group, the movie would have been 5 minutes long. And when you have these situations where the Predator actually gets injured and actually bleeds and actually finds himself a little bit outnumbered once in a while, I think it adds a nice new element to these movies and keeps that Predator and prey balance on a much more even keel, to where it doesn't seem ridiculous or seem like the main characters have plot armor with them surviving the Predator encounters a couple of times throughout the film. And I think Dan Trachtenberg did a great job directing this movie. There's also some really beautiful shots here and there. Like there's a whole sequence where two of the main characters are in this burnt out area of the forest, and it has this gray atmosphere to it, and there's ash falling I really like the way that he shot and utilized the wilderness here. It's a very different environment than the jungle, but it has that same kind of effect to the tension and to the overall plot of the movie. You got mountains and forests and open fields, and each of those environments gives a little bit of an advantage and a disadvantage to the predator and the prey, and it gives a little bit of a different flavor to the different interactions, the different fight scenes and hunting scenes that we experience in the movie. And the movie's really well paced. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes long, which is perfect for a movie like this. It's something that's small scale. It's trying to give a very simple representation of the classic Predator storyline, and the movie wastes no time getting into that concept. You're introduced to the main characters, you're introduced to the Predator, and now chaos ensues. And the final thing that I will say in the positives is that I really like the fact that this franchise has taken a step back and gone back to basics, and I really wish that some more franchises that we love from the 80s that have maybe strayed from the path a bit would take the same approach. I would love to see a Terminator film that goes back to basics, that has a mid-level budget, that kind of tries to recapture that initial action and horror aesthetic, something smaller scale like the original film. I would even like to see the Alien franchise take this approach. So hopefully Prey is very successful, and some of these, I'll call them cousin franchises, these action sci-fi franchises, will take note of this movie's successes and try a similar approach, because bigger is not always better. Moving on to the mixed aspects, the main character here, Naru, played by Amber Midthunder, I like this character. I think that the physical demands of this character and of this actress, they do a great job with. You believe her as a physical threat to this predator, which, if you don't know the context of the Predator being a bit scaled back, could maybe seem like a little bit of a far-fetched, but it's executed very well in the movie. Some of the most exciting sequences is when it's just these two characters facing off. And there is a central theme, a central story, a central arc to her character in regards to proving herself. And she's a female that wants to be a hunter, which is, in the 1700s in this Comanche group, not necessarily a female role. And I think that the way that they initially set up this character's arc and the way that they follow it through all the way to the end credits was satisfying. It was engaging.
Why do you want to hunt? Because you all think that I can't.
I will say it's a bit cliched though. You know, we've seen stories like this numerous times. You think back to something like Mulan that is decades old. It's that type of storyline. We've seen it done a handful of times. You have a girl that wants to prove herself. I'm as strong, I'm as ferocious as the men, but you're underestimating me, and now I'm going to prove you wrong. It's a good story, but it's a story I've seen before. And it's not heavy-handed whatsoever. I already know there's going to be people that just cannot wait to go in the comment section and use that four-letter fucking word starting with a W that it's going to make me grit my goddamn teeth. Those people, I'm not even talking to you anymore. But everybody else, if you had a minute little worry that this is going to get heavy-handed or be an agenda-based movie, it is not. It's a very classic storyline that's just utilized again. And my final thing that I'm mixed on is that I found it to be very awkward and a little jarring that all of the characters in this movie were using modern dialect English. Now, there's supposed to be a Comanche version of this film where they actually apparently shot two versions of every dialogue scene, and on Hulu we're going to be able to have the option to watch the Comanche version with English subtitles. I actually think that's going to be the better version of the film to see. You think back to something like Apocalypto, it can work very well. I understand why they went with the English speaking version, because most people it's an extremely hard sell, if not an impossible sell, to get them to watch a foreign language film. Totally get it. But to me, it just felt odd. Even the fact that, they were speaking English, that's fine, but the dialect, the terms that they're using, the way that they're speaking English, it felt way too modern for something that's supposed to be taking place in the 1700s. So while I get it, while I can certainly look past it and just enjoy the movie for what it is, it did feel a little jarring. But I bet when I watch the Comanche cut, that's going to go away completely. Unfortunately, where this movie lets me down is in pretty much all of the side characters. I think that the main character, Naru, is a good character to follow, and I almost would have preferred the movie focus more on her and the relationship she has with this dog, who is awesome in this film. But when they bring in her brother, when they bring in these other male tribe members, they seem like caricatures to me. And again, maybe the Comanche cut tempers that a little bit, but the way that the dialogue and the character interactions were going on, they just seemed like cliche characters. You have the brother that is the main hunter of the tribe, has everybody's respect, and he is kind of the typical tried and true overly confident dude that doesn't believe in his sister, and you can pretty much see the writing on the wall with where that character arc is going to go. And all of the other tribe members that they have are quite literally the high school douchebags, except they're Comanches. And so anytime they were on screen, I just kind of felt myself get pulled out of the movie a little bit. I understand we need a body count, so I know you have to have side characters. You can't just have an hour and 40 minute with a predator and one character that you're not going to see who lives or dies until the end. I totally get that. But to me, the side characters felt almost foreign to this movie. And my final negative, and this is minimal, this is not a big negative, so don't get too worried. I think there was a bit of an overuse of CGI in the movie. Now, you can't get away without using CGI to a degree with the Predator, with the camouflage effects and everything like that. That all looked pretty good, but there is multiple wilderness animals that are brought into this film. There's a wolf, there's a lion, there's a bear, all of them completely CG. And they look good. They're not bad CG, but you know you're looking at a CG animal. No matter how advanced CG gets, no matter how much it becomes the norm to expect CG in movies, no matter how big or low the budget is, I just really miss those times where we got a lot more practical stuff. I don't know if it would have been practical to be practical in this and use a real wolf and a real bear and everything. Maybe it was impossible to pull off these sequences. I'm sure that to a degree it was, but there's always a part of me that just misses that old school style of movie making. And when I see a CG effect, unless it is immaculate, it always takes me out of it just a little bit. All in all, guys, I really enjoyed Prey. I think that this is arguably the best addition to this franchise since the first film. I'm just a big fan of Predators, otherwise I would tell you it's the best by a country mile. I still don't think it's anywhere close to the quality level of the first film, but maybe that's a bit of nostalgia talking on my part. I think it's a very, very good addition to the Predator films, and I think that most people that watch this, if you're a fan of this franchise, are going to be very happy with what they give you in Prey. Well, that does it for me, guys. If you enjoyed this review, please click over here for my review of the original Predator film, and I'm also going to include the 31 on 31 creature feature video where we reviewed Predator along with Alien and Critters and The Thing and a bunch of other franchises. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my Predator ranking this weekend. And as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.